Hello, welcome to Somerset News Network. Having problems with the sun this morning. Never mind, it's best I can do with what we got. Trump versus Starmer. Trump has stopped the aid, military aid and money going to Ukraine. He's trying to get a peace deal. Zelensky wants money, bombs and bullets to keep the war going. He doesn't want peace. Well, it turns out that Zelensky met with the Democratic Party before he met with Trump. So was all this shenanigans in the Oval Office worked out beforehand to try and make Trump look bad? You think about that. The Democrats are still trying to get Trump. Now we come to Starmer. Starmer calls an EU meeting with other world leaders as well. I think Trudeau was there from Canada, and they met in London. And allegedly, the EU has pledged aid to Ukraine. But when Starmer went to the Commons and reported about it, he said there was a coalition of the willing. Not the EU, a coalition of the willing. Now it turns out that Slovakia and Hungary have vetoed military aid from the EU to Ukraine. So where does that leave Starmer? Starmer is out in the cold. He's on his own. He says that the money that he's pledged is not new money. It's from the 100-year deal that he got before Christmas. And the 100-year deal is for the mineral rights, the rare earths that are in Ukraine. Well, that's what Zelensky was going to get a deal with the Americans for. So was all this shenanigans of falling out with Trump so that he didn't have to sign an agreement and sell the mineral rights twice. So you would have Britain's got it and America's got it. Don't know, just asking the question. Trump said, oh sorry, I'll scrub that. Starmer said that he is going to use the seized Russian assets to pay for the 100-year deal, to give Ukraine its bombs and bullets, and obviously cash that will be siphoned off, because Ukraine is one of the most corrupt countries in the world. Now, reporters are saying this morning that we have not frozen the Russian assets. So where's Starmer going to get the money from if they haven't frozen the assets? And if they have frozen the assets, if there's a peace agreement, the Russian assets will be unfrozen as part of the peace deal. It's possible. Therefore, the money will be given back to whoever's money is, the Russian oligarchs, Russian government, or whatever. What does Starmer do then about paying for the 100-year deal he's got with Ukraine? It's going to be my tax dollars, my tax pounds. You know, this hasn't been thought out. Starmer's on a crusade to get Russia. I don't know why. He wants to continue the war. Why? He's working for somebody, and it ain't us. It's New World Order, deep state stuff. And Starmer's just a puppet for him. He's got no policies, he's got no personality. So I wouldn't have thought he would have dreamed this up. So, where is Starmer going to get the money to give to Ukraine if he hasn't got the Russian money? Because they're saying that it hasn't been frozen. And if it has been frozen, we can't steal it. We just can't take it and use it. If it was made legitimately through business, then it's stealing the money. That's simple. Basic logic. And somebody's got to call Starmer out on it. We're not getting it for the MPs sat in the Commons and just agreed with him. Even the Tories agreed with him. They're supposed to be the loyal opposition. They weren't the opposition until they were agreeing with Starmer. Unbelievable. We have got to start hitting reality on the head and telling our politicians they ain't getting away with it anymore. We want peace in Ukraine. If Lizinski isn't prepared for peace, he just wants bombs and bullets, then we've got to force him into peace. The Russians hold Crimea, and they're not going to give it up. And all Starmer's talk in Parliament, he never mentioned Russia. And the talking heads going round the television studios doing the news is saying Russians the aggressor, Russians started the war. No, Russia did not start the war. Ukrainian government under Lizinski tried to ethnically cleanse the Russian-speaking people from the Crimea. That's how it started. Started as like a skirmish. And they were trying to push the people out. The people didn't move. They held a referendum and they wanted to stay Russian. That gave the Russians the go-ahead to go in and defend the Russian-speaking people of Ukraine. It was not an invasion. They were invited in by the Russian-speaking people to defend them. Ukraine has shut down a lot of the Russian Orthodox churches in Ukraine. The Hungarian language has been banned in West Ukraine. A friend of mine is Hungarian. He was working on the farm, so I haven't seen him for a couple of years. But before all this started and before the war started, he was explaining that Ukraine had banned the Hungarian language in Western Ukraine. There was a Hungarian university which they've closed down. He was in Ukraine because his family were in Ukraine after the Second World War, that was then Hungary. When they divided the borders up, they found themselves in Ukraine. It was all right under the Russians, he said. We got on great. We were allowed to have our own ethnic language. But Lizinski took over, banned the language, stopped the universities. So he came to Britain working. Don't know where he is now. I haven't seen him, like I said, I haven't seen him for a couple of years. But that was before the war started. Our politicians are saying the war started when Russia came in to defend the Crimean Russian-speaking people. The war started before. Ukraine was trying to ethnically cleanse the Russian-speaking people from the Crimean. Let's get it right. Now, I'm not pro-Russian and I'm not pro-Ukraine, but I just want the truth told. And I want peace. And you're not going to get peace unless you negotiate with the Russians. What's Starmer done? He hasn't negotiated with the Russians or talked to the Russians at all. He's trying to negotiate with Ukraine to give them bombs and bullets, saying, oh, they then got security, they'll be all right. That just continues the war. And Slovakia and Hungary know that. That's why they vetoed the EU aid to Ukraine. And that's why Starmer used the expression, the coalition of the willing. So it'll be Starmer and a couple of other countries. I don't think it'll be Germany. Don't think it'll be Poland. Maybe France and maybe Canada. But where are they going to get the money from? France is in trouble for money. Germany's got all sorts of problems on the streets. I want peace. Trump is trying to get peace. And I'm backing Trump. Anyway, Ian, Somerset News Network. Ah, Starmer's in trouble, I tell you.